More this money. Yeah. Yeah. Open the game. Yeah. Back to work, chat. Sus. Whoa. Whoa. The Sonic.exe story. The true story. The untold story. The story. Alright, let's get right back into the groove, chat. So what are we doing today? What's our avenue of conversation for today? We going back to read more scary stories to tell in the dark? What do you think? Should we read like actual good ones this time, chat, or should we read more schlock? What do you think we should do? You have been given the power to decide, and by that I mean I'll decide based on what you say. Yeah. What do you mean, yeah? This, you know what? This is more my fault than your fault. There are a lot of times where I ask multiple choice questions, but because of stream delay, somebody just says yeah, and it's just like, what question were they answering? I was calling it out. Excellent. It happens. It just happens. It's just how it is. I don't make the rules. It's not my fault. It's not your fault either. It's our collective fault. We share the blame around here. Alright? Black Ripple. Doesn't do anything. Brain rot. What do you mean? You're telling me you don't... I didn't even do it up with the health bar. I feel like that whenever I read a bad pasta, I educate you on what to avoid when it comes to writing. So if anything, I'm teaching you. What is this fucking music? Oh, it's Hang Castle. I was like, what is this? Communism. Yes, only when it comes to sharing the blame, alright? I will secure the wealth, but we will share the blame. And this says a lot about our society. Bottom text. My back is itchy. Oh, man. I recognize this part of the track. Yeah. This is the good part. The first part's weird. So, I know some of you got some stories lined up. And I know we're gonna read some junk. Maybe we should read more classics that no one's ever heard before. What do you think of that? Chat, you ever see Suicide Mouse? Because I've never read that one, but I assume based on the Squidward Suicide one we read last time, which was, by the way, just dog shit, that it's not really much better. And it just has notoriety for being one of the first to do it. Treasure Island one? I'm actually familiar with the Treasure Island one, but I've never read the story. That one's fascinating. They made a whole Freddy game based on it that was actually, like, became something pretty cool. I forget what it's called. It's like Invictus Motor or something like that. Spooky rat. Man, let me tell you, chat, every time I see a picture of a character I like, I just think, fuck, I wish I could draw her. And, well, that's what we're working on. That's what we're working on. Godzilla NES, that's huge, bro. That one is huge. I don't know if that one is gonna be a good idea based on that. Five Nights at Treasure Island. No, I'm not talking about Five Nights at Treasure Island. I'm talking about the revamp version of it that changed the name and, like, made a bunch of original Mickeys. And that one was pretty neat. I thought that was neat. Yeah, Obia's Casa. That's what it was called. I thought it was called Invictus for some reason. I'm confusing that with something else. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the reimagined. Because Five Nights at Treasure Island was like the first Five Nights at Freddy's fan game. And it got a huge wave of attention because Markiplier played it. And so it was like, it's really old. Kind of cool. What about Ted? What's Ted? Isn't Ted a movie? That's just what happens if your Fumo came to life, but it had the but it had the in case you want. Yeah, okay, yeah, why not? If the sense of humor. Abandoned by Disney. Alright, so chat, if you've ever heard of this, this is essentially Treasure Island. So, it's a story that's pretty well known. I actually have to move my... I have to move this out of the way a little bit. Okay. But it's about a dude who goes to a supposed abandoned location for a Disney theme park and sees some crazy shit. It's pretty short, yeah, and it's not over the top necessarily. It is kind of goofy in some places, but it's fascinating. Oh man, I've been fucking in love with that word. Damn. I feel like the premise of the game had to kind of change a bit, but it was originally intended to be a Freddy game. So that's why you have to sit at your desk, you know. By the way, Click Team Fusion, I don't know what you use that engine for, but as far as I can tell, the only people who use that engine nowadays is like Freddy. To the point where if you want to look at any tutorial in Click Team Fusion, it's 99% of the time you're going to run into a tutorial specifically for Freddy mechanics. But it's amazing how far people have taken that engine for the sake of Freddy fan games, because from what I understand, that engine is kind of stiff. Alright, let's read chat. So this is Abandoned by Disney. Some of you may have heard that the Disney Corporation is responsible for at least one real live ghost town. Disney built the Treasure Island Resort in Baker's Bay in the Bahamas. It didn't start as a ghost town. Disney cruise ships would actually stop at the resort and leave tourists there to relax in luxury. Alright, I got Shion. Poison bomb. No. This is a fact. Look it up. Chat. Would anybody like to fact check this guy real quick? Is this true? Was there actually... Like, was Treasure Island real? Is he real? Is he being real right now? Okay. Now, before I continue reading, though, I have to... We gotta get some more Pokemon here. Okay, Ellie is definitely one I need because she's a legendary. Junko I have, because I caught her. You're Evolution Stone, so you were a waste of time. You were done. Sariel is good as well. Okay. Well, let's take a look at the Pokedex. They're responsible for another ghost town in Turkey. Really? Okay, let's see. Rukoto, Mimi-chan are Evolution Stones. Fence-Dye, Sunny Form, Saya. Regular Kane, right, okay. Kane, Kanako, and Eden. Kane, Kanako, Eden. Hold on. Okay, let's see. Kane, Kanako, Eden. There's Eden. And Kane and Kanako. Kane. Kanako. Oh, there's also Maribel and Renko, which I'll have to do as well. Toyohime? Yorihime? I don't remember, actually. I'm pretty sure I'll have to evolve those two as well. But I'm looking for Kanako right now. Defense Kanako. Wait, where the fuck is she? Discovery Island is real. Isn't Discovery Island the place that this one's based off of? Or is this the one? Maybe, hold on. Maybe it'll talk about it. So what's in there? I mean, I doubt there's anything actually in there, but like... Has anyone actually found anything, like, interesting in there? I don't see Kanako. Do I have? I don't think I have a little Kanako, do I? I didn't see her Chibi form. No, I genuinely don't see her. So, I guess I have to breed a Kanako? this fucking Pokedex is not helpful, that's for sure. Oh, come on now. Yeah, Kane is there. Kaneko is not. Eden. Tay, I don't have regular Tay. I caught a regular Tay, though. I never found a sea larva. Okay, Michael and Tay. Michael and Tay. I should have those. There's Michael. And I should have a regular Tay because I caught one before the shiny one. There she is. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna keep reading it a bit. Let's just get back up to the mountain first. So these are like real places. So why were they abandoned exactly? Is that, did Disney ever put out like a statement? Or is it just like, what happened? Lights would even still switch on automatically until the power eventually was cut from 2008. That's kind of spooky. See, I think like exploring abandoned complexes and stuff like that is cool. But it becomes significantly less cool when you realize most of the quote-unquote paranormal activity is just squatters. So it's not like anything exciting. It's just, you know. Just wasn't worth keeping that part of the park. I couldn't tell you. Disney is kind of a multi-million-dollar franchise, so I'm impressed that it, you know, they're also cheap as fuck. I guess it checks out. All right. I am Walt Disney. He is me. He's my persona. Alright. Ellie first. She's gonna take the longest. Lucky egg. And of course, we're gonna check who can learn Toxic because it is helpful. So Ellie can learn it. Good. Let's get rid of the first move. Eden can learn it. She already knows it. And Tay just gets it raw. Okay. Alright. Back to it. People take little boats on there and take pictures. Disney got tired of that and put up some security. Oh. So people would take pictures of the island when they weren't allowed to, and they, like, what? Huh? I don't know what this area looks like. Alright, we're gonna keep reading. Here we go. This is a fact. Look it up. Disney blew $30 million on the place. Yes, $30 million. Then they abandoned it. Disney blamed the shallow waters, too shallow for their ships to operate safely. And there was even blame cast on the workers, saying that they were from the Bahamas. They were too lazy to work a regular schedule. That's where the factual nature of the story ends. It wasn't because of sand, and it obviously wasn't because foreigners are lazy. Both are convenient excuses. No, I sincerely doubt those reasons were legitimate. Why don't I buy the official story? Because of Mowgli's Palace. Mowgli. Mowgli. Near the beachside city of Emerald Isle in North Carolina, Disney began construction of Mowgli's Palace in the late 1990s. The concept was a jungle-themed resort with a large, you guessed it, palace in the center of the whole thing. If you're familiar with the character of Mowgli, then you might better remember the story of the Jungle Book. If you haven't seen it anywhere else, you know that Disney cartoon from decades past. Mowgli is an abandoned child in the jungle, essentially raised by animals and simultaneously threatened and pursued by other animals. Mowgli's Palace was a controversial undertaking from the start. Disney bought up a ton of high-priced land for the project, and there was actually a scandal surrounding some of the purchases. The local government claimed eminent domain on people's homes, then turned around and sold the property to Disney. Oh. At one point, a home they'd just been constructed was immediately condemned with little to no explanation. Is that true? Does anyone know? The land grab of the government was supposedly for some fictional highway project, knowing full well what was going on. People started calling it Mickey Mouse Highway. I don't know if this is real, but this sounds like it could be real. Mickey Mouse Highway. Then there was the concept art. A group of stuffed shirts from Disney Co. actually held a city meeting, intended to tell everyone how lucrative the project was going to be for everyone. When they showed the concept art, this gigantic Indian palace surrounded by jungles, staffed with men and women in loincloths and tribal gear. Well, suffice to say, everyone flipped their shit. That one I have a hard time buying, but this was the 1990s, and that kind of thing was more readily looked into by companies. Nowadays, companies wouldn't dare do anything like that because bottom dollar, baby. This company don't give a fuck about who you are as a person or individual. They just go with whatever makes them the most money, and somehow people still fall for the shit. Alright. We're talking about a large Indian palace, jungle loincloth, not only the center of a relatively wealthy area, but also a somewhat xenophobic area in southern USA. It was a questionable mix at that point in history. One member of the crowd tried to storm the stage, but he was quickly subdued by security after he managed to break one of the presentation boards over his knee. Is that real? Disney took that community and essentially broke it over the knee as well. The houses were razed, the land was cleared, and there wasn't a damn thing they could do or say about it. Local TV and newspapers were against the resort at the beginning, but some insane connection between Disney's media holdings and the local venues came into play, and their opinions turned on a dime. Man, I love how the more things change, the more they stay the same. So anyway, Treasure Island, the Bahamas, Disney sunk those millions in and then split. The same thing happened in Mowgli's Palace. I don't know if this is real, chat. But I genuinely don't know how much of this is real and how much of this is fake backstory. But I'm willing to believe that all this actually happened because it sounds plausible. It's like, it's neat. Construction was complete. Visitors actually stayed at the resort. Surrounding communities were flooded with traffic and the usual annoyances associated with an influx of lost and irate tourists. Then it all just stopped. Disney shut it down and nobody knew what the hell to think. But they were pretty happy about it. Disney's loss was pretty hilarious and wonderful to a large group of folks who didn't want this in the first place. I honestly didn't give the place another thought since hearing it closed over a decade ago. I lived maybe 4 hours from Emerald Isle, so really I only heard the rumblings and didn't experience any of it firsthand. Then I read this article from someone who had explored the Treasure Island Resort and posted a whole blog about all the crazy shit he found there. Stuff just left behind. Things smashed, defaced, probably ruined by the disgruntled former employees who had lost their jobs. Hell, the locals from all around probably had a hand in wrecking the place. People there just felt angry about Treasure Island as folks here did about Mowgli's Palace. Plus, there were rumors that Disney had released their aquarium stock into the local waters when they closed, including sharks. Oh, no way they did that, right? No way. It can't be true. Who wouldn't want to take a few swings at some merchandise after all that? Yeah, fuck Mickey. Fuck him. Mowgli's Palace stuff is made up. I assume Discovery Island stuff is true. Okay. Alright, where am I? Well, what I'm getting at is this blog about Treasure Island got me thinking, even though many years... Is this blog about Treasure Island real? Is it real? Even though many years have passed since it's closed, and I figured it might be cool to do some urban exploration at Mowgli's Palace. Take some photos, write about my experience, and probably see if there was anything I could take home as a memento. I'm not going to say I wasted no time in getting there, because it honestly took me another year after I first found the Treasure Island article to get around up to going up to Emerald Island. Over the course of that year, I did a lot of research on the Palace Resort, or rather, I tried to. Naturally, no official Disney site or resource made mention of the place that had been scrubbed clean. Even odder, however, was that nobody before myself had apparently thought to blog about the place or even post a photo. None of the local TV or newspaper sites had one word about the place, though this was the expected since they all swung Disney's way. They wouldn't be out there lauding their embarrassment, you know? Recently, I learned that corporations can actually ask Google, for example, to remove links from search results, basically for no good reason. Looking back, it's probably not that nobody spoke of the resort, but rather their words were made inaccessible. Can Google do that? Does Google take handouts from companies to censor? Not Google. Not my Google. Not my monopoly on search engines. No, say it ain't so. Or am I? So in the end, I could barely find the place. All I had to go on was an old as hell map I received in the mail. Back in the 90s, it was a promotional item sent to the people who'd recently been to Disney World, and I guess since I had been there in the late 80s, that was recent. I didn't really intend to hang on to it. It just got shoved in with my books and comics from... Where was I? From my childhood. I only remembered it a few months into my research. And even then it took me another few weeks to locate the storage my parents had shoved it all into. But I did find it. Locals were no help, as most were transplants who had moved to the beach in recent years, or old residents who just sneered at me and made rude gestures the second I managed to say, "Where would I find Mowgli?" Mowgli. The drive took me through an inordinately long corridor of overgrowth, tropical plants that had run rampant and overpopulated the area mixed with the native species of flora that actually belonged there and had tried to reclaim the land. I was in awe when I reached the front gates of the resort. Tremendous monolithic wooden gates, whose support either side looked like they must have been cut from giant sequoias. The gate itself had been gouged in several places by woodpeckers and eaten away at the base by burrowing insects. Hanging onto the gate was a sheet of metal, some random scrap with hand-painted letters scrawled in black. Abandoned by Disney. Clearly the handiwork of some past local or an employee who wanted to make some small protests. Handy cover for a fake location. Oh. Yeah, I mean, it adds believability to it because you're actually taking a real-world example and applying it, which is cool. He did title drop, yes. The gates were open enough to walk through, but not drive, so grabbing my digital camera and map, whose flip side showed a layout of the resort, I set off on foot. The inner grounds of the place were just as overground as the entryway. Palm trees stood unended in ragged amounts piled on their own coconuts. Banana plants similarly stood in their own stinking, bug-riddled refuse. There was some sort of clash between order and chaos, as carefully planted rows of perennial flowers mixed with obnoxious tall weeds and stinking blackened mushrooms. All that remained of any outdoor structures were broken, rotting wood, and various charred bits of unidentifiable metal. It was most likely an information booth or an outdoor bar. It was now simply a pile of assorted debris and chopped up by past vandalism and ravaged by weather. The most interesting thing on the ground was a statue of Baloo. The friendly bear from the Jungle Book who stood in a sort of courtyard in front of the main building. He was frozen in a jovial wave toward no one, staring into empty space with a silly, toothy grin as bird shit covered whole swaths of his fur and vines ensnared his platform. I approached the main building, the palace, only to find the outside of the building covered in graffiti where the original paint had been peeled and chipped away. The front doors weren't just open, they'd been taken off their hinges and were stolen. Above the front doors of the gaping mall where they had been, someone had once again painted "Abandoned by Disney." I wish I could tell you about all the awesome stuff I saw inside the palace. Forgotten statues, abandoned cash registers, a full-fledged secret society of homeless bums. But no. The inside of the building was so stark, so bare, that I actually think people had stolen the molding off the walls. Anything that was too big to steal, counters, desks, giant fake trees, they were all resting amid this empty echo chamber that amplified my every step like a slow rat-a-tat of a machine gun. I checked the floor plan and headed to all the locations that might seem in any way interesting. Dude, doors are expensive. If you can get a deal, a Disney certified door, come on. Why not? I checked the floor. Okay, the kitchen was, as you'd imagine, an industrial food prep area with all the appliances in space. No expense spared. Every glass surface was broken, every door knocked off its hinges. Every metal surface kicked and dented. The entire place smelled like very old piss. The huge freezer, not even remotely cool now, had row upon row of empty shelf space. Hung hooks from the ceiling, probably for hanging cuts of meat. As I stood inside for a moment, I noticed they were swinging. Each hook swung in a random direction, but their movements were so slow and small that it was almost impossible to see. You gonna evolve now? God damn it. Kutaka's at a PP, so... Hold on. Oh. This is fine. I gotta put her up. I kinda have to put her up front, don't I? Okay. Where am I? Each hook swung in a random direction, but their movements were slow and small. I figured I'd been caused by my footsteps, so I stopped one from swinging by clutching it in my fist and carefully letting go. Within seconds, it started to swing once more. Now, this is gonna sound like a rude comment, but chat, if you were in a situation like that, would you find that scary? Genuinely asking. Because, like, obviously, to your knowledge, nothing should be causing that, but something is clearly causing that. So what would you think in that situation? Would you just kind of pay it no mind, or would you, like, be put extremely on edge by it? It's really small things like that, you know? Yeah, because this is a closed building with no, like, no real flow of, like, anything. Okay. The bathrooms were in much of the same state as the rest of the place. Just like Treasure Island Resort, someone had methodically mashed each porcelain commode with coconuts and other implements. About half an inch of rancid, stinking, stagnant water on the floor, so it didn't stay there very long. What's odd is that the toilets and the sinks and the bidets in the ladies' room, yes, I went in there, All dripped, leaked, or just ran freely. It seemed to me they should shut up the water off long, long ago. There's regular Ellie. Okay. Why are you holding something? Oh. Yeah, I'll do Michael next, because Michael... Okay. We'll do Michael next. Probably the easiest one to level up anyway. There were plenty of rooms in the resort, but naturally didn't have time to look through them all. A few I did peer into were similarly wrecked, and I didn't expect to find anything there. I thought there was actually television or radio in one room, so I really think I heard a quiet conversation coming out. Though it was like a whisper, probably my own breathing echoing in the silence, and just another case of the sound flowing, or the water playing tricks on my mind. This is what it sounded like. I didn't believe it. Short, unknown reply. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Your father told you. Unknown reply, or possibly just weeping. I know, that sounds ridiculous. I'm just telling you what I experienced. Why, I thought there might have been something running in that room, or worse, some vagrants who had holed up there probably would have knifed me. Damn, man's immediate thought is goons are gonna gank him. It's like, damn. The front doors of the palace, again, I figured I hadn't found anything of note and I'd wasted the trip up. As I looked at the door, I noticed something interesting in the courtyard that apparently had missed. Something that would have given me at least one thing to show for all my trouble, even if it was just a photograph. There's a lifelike statue of a python, maybe 80 feet long, coiled up and sunning itself on the pedestal right in the center of the area. It's almost time for the sun to start setting, and so the light fell onto the object in the perfect way for a photograph. I approached the python and snapped a photo, and I stood on my toes and snapped another, moving closer to get the details of its face. Slowly, casually, the python lifted its head, looking directly into my eyes, turned and slid it off the pedestal, gathering across the grass and into the trees. Oh, it was a reel. All 80 feet of it, its head disappeared into the woods before even its tail has left the sunning spot. Disney have released all their exotic animals onto the ground. Right there on my floor pan mat was the reptile house. I should have known. I read about the sharks at Treasure Isle, and I should have known they'd done this. I was dumbfounded, just utterly stupefied. My mouth must have been hanging open for the longest time before I came back down to earth and snapped it shut. I blinked a few times and backed away from where the snake had been, back towards the palace. Big ass fucking 80-foot tall snake. Just chilling. Alright. Even though it was totally gone, I still wasn't taking any chances and backed my way into the building. I took a few deep breaths and slaps on my own face to get myself right in the head again after that. I was looking for a place to sit down as my legs were feeling a bit like jelly at this point. Of course, there was no place to sit down unless I wanted to recline in the broken glass and dead leaf carpet or haul myself up onto the desk of questionable reliability. I had seen some stairs near the palace's lobby and decided to go have a seat there until I felt better. The staircase was far enough away from the front of the building to be relatively clean, save for a startling accumulation of dust. I pulled a wedge of metal off the wall, once again painted with the Abandoned by Disney motto I'd been accustomed to. Placed the wedge on the stairs and sat on it to keep at least somewhat clean. The stairway had led downward below ground level. Using my camera flash of sort of improvised flashlight, I could see that their staircase ended as a metal mesh door with a padlock. A sign on the door, a real sign, read mascots only. Thank you! This perked up my spirits a little bit for two reasons. One, a mascot only area would definitely have some interesting stuff back in the day. Two, a padlock was still in place. Nobody had gone down there. Not the vandals, not the looters. Nobody. There was the one place I could actually explore and perhaps find something interesting to photograph or wantonly steal. I had come to the palace essentially agreeing with myself that it was okay to take anything I wanted because, hey, it was abandoned. It didn't take much to bust the lock. Well, actually, that's wrong. It didn't take much to bust the metal plate on the wall where the padlock was hooked to. Time and decay had done most of the work for me, and I was able to bend the metal plate enough to put the screws out of the wall, something nobody else had apparently thought of or hadn't been able to do at the time. The mascot's only area was a startling and very welcome change from the rest of the building I'd seen. For one, every second or third fluorescent light overhead was illuminated, even though flickering and faded randomly. Also, nothing had been stolen or broken, even if age and exposure were definitely taking their toll. Hold on. Tables had notepads and pens, and there were clocks, even a punching clock on the wall complete with time fill-out cards. Chairs were scattered around, and there was even a small break room with an old static-filled television and long, rotted-out food and drink in the counters. was like one of the most post-apocalyptic movies where everything is left in the state of the evacuation. As I walked the maze-like sub-basement hallways of the mascot's only area, the sight just became more and more interesting as I went further. Desks and tables were knocked over, paper scattered, almost melded in with the damp floor. Hold on. And a large carpet of mold was slowly overtaking the real rotted crimson floor tile. Okay. Oh, I have poison powder as well. And it'll be fine. Where am I? Everything was just sort of squishy. Anything wood disintegrated into mush when I applied even the least amount of force. The clothing items hanging on hooks in one of the rooms simply fell to moist threads if I tried to unhook them. One thing that annoyed me was that the light was becoming more sparse and unreliable as I further into the dank, suffering depths of this place. Eventually, I reached a black and yellow striped door with the word Character Prep 1 stenciled on it. The door wouldn't open at first. I figured this was probably where the costumes were kept, and I kept definitely wanting to photograph that twisted, stinking mess. Try as I might, whatever angle trick I tried, the door wouldn't budge. That is until I gave up and started to walk away. There was a slight popping sound and the door creaked open slowly. Inside the room was completely dark, pitch black. I used the camera flash to look for a light switch in the wall by the door, but there was nothing. As I made my search, I was jarred out of my sense of excitement by a loud electrical buzz. Rows of lights overhead suddenly flashed to light, flickering and faded in and out like the rest I had passed. It took a second for my eyes to adjust, and it seemed like the light was going to just keep getting brighter until all the bulbs exploded. But just when I thought I would reach that critical stage, the lights dimmed a bit and steadied. Who is doing this? Is that you, Mickey? Hold on, chat. My neck is... Hold on, I gotta fix my neck. Hold on. Slight break. Streamer's neck is not in the right position. Ugh. Okay. Where am I? The room was exactly as I had pictured it. Various Disney costumes hung on the wall, fully put together like strange cartoon cadavers hung from invisible nooses. There's an entire rack of loincloths and native clothes on hangers towards the back. What I found odd, and what I wanted to photograph right away, was a Mickey Mouse costume at the center of the room. Unlike the other costume, it was lying on its back in the center of the floor like a murder victim. The fur on the costume was rotten, and shedding, creating bare patches. What was even odder, however, was the coloring of its costume. It was like a photo negative of the actual Mickey. Black where he should be white, and white where he should be black. His normally red overalls were a light blue. The sight was off-putting enough that I actually put off photographing that thing until last. I took a picture of the costumes hanging on the wall, upward angles, downward angles, side shots show an entire row of frozen, putrid cartoon faces, some with plastic eyes missing. Then I decided to stage a shot, just one of the bedangled characters' heads on the slick, grimy floor. I reached for the headpiece of a Donald Duck costume and carefully removed it so the thing wouldn't fall apart in my hands. As I looked into the face of the wide-eyed, moldering head, a loud clattering sound made me jump with a fright. I looked down at my feet, and there between my shoes was a human skull that had fallen out of the mascot's head and shattered into pieces at my feet. Only the empty face and lower jaw remained, staring up at me. I dropped the duck head immediately, as you'd expect, and moved for the door. As I stood in the doorway, I looked back to the skull on the floor. I had to take a picture of it, you know? I had to. For any number of reasons that may seem silly, but only if you don't think it through. I need proof of what happened. Essentially, Disney was going to somehow make this go away. I had no doubt in my mind, right from the start, that even if it was just gross negligence, Disney was responsible for this. And that's when Mickey, that photo negative opposite Mickey in the middle of the floor, started to get up. First sitting up, then climbing to its feet, the Mickey Mouse costume, or whoever was inside it, stood there at the center of the room, its fake face just staring directly at me, as I mumbled no, over and over and over. With shaking hands, a violently thrashing heart, and legs that had once again turned to jelly, I'd managed to lift the camera and aim at the opposite creature now quietly sizing me up. The digital camera screen displayed only dead pixels in the shape of the thing. It was a perfect silhouette of the Mickey costume. As the camera moved in my unsteady hands, the dead pixels spread, marring the screen, whatever Mickey's outline moved to. Then the camera died, went blank and quiet and broken. I raised my eyes once again to the Mickey Mouse costume. Hey. It said in a hushed, perverted, but perfectly executed Mickey Mouse voice. Hi! You wanna see my head come off? It started to pull at its own head, working its clumsy, glove-clad fingers around its neck with clawing, impatient movements similar to a wounded man trying to pull himself free of a predator's jaws. As it worked into digits into its neck, so much blood. So much thick, chunky, yellow blood. I turned away as I heard the sickening tearing of cloth and flesh. Only cared about getting away. Above the doorway out of this room, I saw the final message clawed into the metal with bone and or fingernails. Abandoned by God. I never got the pictures out of the camera. I never wrote the blog entry about it. After I ran from the place, I fled for my sanity, if not my very life. I knew what Disney didn't want anyone to know about this place. They didn't want anyone like me getting in. They didn't want anything like that getting out. Photo negative Mickey. Now, what I like about this story is that I'm not gonna call it like super believable, but like it set a premise with real information, and the urban exploration part was about what you'd expect, just kind of describing the rundown nature of it, which is good. And then at the very end, when it's like La Critora, but like it doesn't really overstay its welcome. I'm not gonna call it like believable or anything like that, but the way the writing is done does make it give it a little bit to make it seem like, oh, because again, the Mickey doesn't stick around long enough to really have you think about it too hard, I suppose, is the best way to think about it. Because like a lot of the shitty creepypastas you read, they focus way too long on the monster, and they use way too many adjectives that mean stinky. But this one's just kind of like, there's a costume. Oh shit, it got up, and it asked me a question, and then it made guttural noises, and it was gross, and I was done. Like, I was out of there. And it's like, that's just enough. Because normally what happens in this situation at creepypasta is a motherfucker will sit there and stare at it, count the seconds at the top of his head, and experience the whole endeavor. But this guy was like, no, I don't want to see your head come off. No, goodbye. See you later. Fuck you. Because that is exactly the kind of reaction I think any sane human being would have. Paralyzed by fear, and then immediately the fight or flight reaction. You wouldn't stick around to see what that thing's doing. You don't want to know what that thing's doing. You don't want to see it. You're done there. Like you've done your fucking civic duty. Leave. The game said it would kill me, but I had to keep playing. And then I turned it off, but then I had to keep playing. But then I turned it off again, but then I had to keep playing. So yeah, Treasure Island, that's a classic one. That's a classic one. It's actually the first time I read the story, but I'm familiar with the story. And yeah, as far as it goes, I think it's actually quite good. It's got good pacing. It's not completely unbelievable. The payout at the end isn't too ridiculous. It's definitely weird, but I find a lot of these things always fall into some kind of level of absurdity that it's hard for your suspension of disbelief to really, like, you know, take root, I guess. It's like, oh, and then fucking Satan crawled out of my game cartridge. It's like, yeah, sure he did, buddy. But even though it's very easy to be like, yeah, there's no way this happened, sure. But there's enough in the story that can make you think, just maybe, that not all of it is implausible. So even the stuff that is completely outlandish is not 100%, you know, improbable. Like, you can't fully shake it off. And that, I think, is a good aspect of a good creepypasta, is when there is enough believability throughout the story that even the most outlandish aspect of it can still kind of make you think, you know? It can make you slightly believe in the reality of it. And that's good. Now, there are a lot of good creepypastas. The best ones that come from the video game... The best one that come from video games, the ones that provide video evidence alongside them. Like Godzilla NES is a good example. Godzilla NES is a good creepypasta in the sense that it has actual, like... It tells a story, but it provides imagery along the way to really help the reader get immersed into it. But then it gets weird. And, like really weird. And at that point, I kind of tuned out. But up to that point, at least, about the strange, fucking, gross-looking creature in this game, and the experience with the game and the screenshots and all that, it was very, like, it's like, whoa. But yeah, then it got weird. So, it happens. Yeah, the human skull inside the Donald costume, like, that's not completely unbelievable, even if it is extremely unlikely for something like that to be a thing. And it's not like it's played up as like, oh, and then the skull fell to the floor, and then it looked at me, and then it went, nah! And like, it's literally just a skull fell and crumbled into dust, and when the dude realized what it was, he was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Because, like, obviously, if you see a human skull, you're not supposed to see those things outside of certain places. Like, you know, laboratories or shit. When not just like a fucking random in the wild skull. That's not good. You don't want to see that. So I think the important thing about the story is, as well, another important thing is our protagonist, John Ryder, and how his character in this situation is completely believable. For one, he's not dead, so how he wrote the story is not questionable. And two, when he decided it was time to go, he left. Like, believable actions in a creepypasta help as well. Because sometimes what makes us scared is not so much what we see, but what we don't see. If that makes sense. Like, there's no explanation what's going on with that Mickey thing. Our protagonist is out of there. Like, he's done. He sees that thing, like, going for it, and he hears it and sees a little bit what's going on, and he knows immediately that he does not want to be there anymore, so he's leaving. And all that's left is the sound that he's left with at the end, hearing it tear into itself, and wondering what exactly that is like, looks like. But he didn't stick around to find out. You just kind of get the idea that something is not right about that suit, and you're not gonna get to know why. So you're left thinking what is wrong with it. Because as soon as you're given the like explanation to it, you just laugh about it. Because nothing that they could actually write to give good information about it could match whatever your imagination could do. And that happens a lot, I think. Yeah, the fear of the unknown. That's exactly what it is. That's the whole premise of yokai, after all. We give forms to things we don't understand that scare us, and of course, when we give form to them, we build them in a way in our minds that would scare us, because that's what we're telling ourselves. Like, that's scary. What would that look like? And your brain imagines something that you would be afraid of, because that's what you're supposed to be feeling. But then when you actually see it, if it doesn't match up with your idea of spooky scary, then it's like, doesn't really work. So letting the viewer imagine what the fuck is going on there is infinitely worse, or I guess better. It's worse in the sense that when they think about what it is, whatever is brewing in there is worse than what it actually could be, because they've designed in their mind around their own fears. Like how the Xenomorph lost the fear factor when we could always see it. I don't know much about Alien, so I can't say much on that front. However, I can say that the longer people looked at the Xenomorph, the less fear they were feeling. That's for sure. And that's my 2 cents on the Alien series. But yeah, that was it's a good story, chat. I actually enjoyed that. So if you got another one, feel free to send it my way. Now, if you want to send me some garbage, that's fine too. We can read some garbage. But Treasure Island is a pretty timeless creepypasta. And I actually really enjoyed reading that because I've never actually read the original story, even though I did know about it prior to reading it, of course. Oh, I didn't even think about the impossible snake. Oh, shit. And, you know, actually, I was never scared of this song. Ever. What's this one? Page of Ted. So what is this? What did you just link me to? What is Page of Ted? Trek Caver. What is this? Before I continue onward, I need to know what this is. You'll know. Alright. Okay, alright. Oh, sure. Ted the Caver. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I've never heard of that. What is that? It took me to a fucking website I've never seen before. It's like one of these old make-it-yourself websites. 32301. Is this 2001? March 23rd? It's considered the first ones. It's very old. Alright. Okay, hold on. I gotta move this out of the way so I can read it. Due to the overwhelming number of requests I've received to tell about my discoveries and bizarre experiences in the cave not far from my home, I've created this webpage. I've outlined the events that happened to me during the past few months. Beginning with my journey into a familiar cave back in 2000, and ending, well, it hasn't actually ended yet. I will use my caving journal as a text to tell about my recent experience. I will give them to you as I experience them in chronological order. I've included photographs that were taken during my many trips into the cave. I've also created a few illustrations to help the reader get a better idea of what things look like in the cave. All the photos were taken by me or one of the few people I went into the cave with. I want to point out a few things before I tell you these events. 1. Most of the pictures taken with a Kodak disposable type camera. I took a better camera to the cave on 1 or 2 of the trips. Pictures on the site are all original photos that have not been messed with or enhanced. Other than where noted, as a rule, I get my pictures put on the disc at the time of developing so I don't have to scan them later. This ensures the best digital quality. Okay. What was I? 2, I will not reveal the names of the other people involved in this experience. If you know me well enough, you probably know them already. 3, I will not reveal the location of the cave to anyone for any reason, so please don't ask. I refuse to be held accountable for anyone's life but my own. I will refer to this cave as Mystery Cave. That is not its real name. If you think these events sound far-fetched, I agree. I would come to the same conclusion had I not experienced them. I will try to finish the site as soon as possible. Check the date on the main page to see where I've made updates to protect myself from people who might want to copy this site. I include TH following. All text on this and following pages are my own words and copyright 2001. Ted. Thanks, Ted. Okay. The Discovery. Oh man, how long is this, chat? How long is this one? Because this is a big page, and this is only page 1. Oh man, I got a little Tay here. Big Michael. You had Toxic. It's quite long? Aww. I don't got time for a super long one, though. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna go on for too long. Back to the caves page. Discovery. Back to the caves page. Welcome to the page of Ted. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I'm not gonna read it. Too long, didn't read. I don't doubt its quality, mind you, but yeah, I don't want to spend forever. It's huge. It's massive, mate. Absolutely fucking massive. I got time for that. You know how many pauses I'll have to take? For what I'm doing here? Too many. You gotta give me another one. How is this scary? How is this scary music? This is not spooky music. Not even remotely spooked. I've never played this game. I've seen gameplay of it, and I know that it's the type of game that would piss me off immensely. So there's no way I would play it. I don't know much about the HD version of it either. I watched Benny play it, but I don't know if it was good or not. Oh, great. There goes all my toxic PP. And I don't know when Tay evolves. Pretty sure it was early at least. One toxic. I fucking missed. One Gale. Oh, man. Alright, well, we're gonna walk all the way back to the bottom of the mountain because Tay needs one fucking level and I don't have any PP. The game is like a classic, but I know it's built on its absurdly bullshit difficulty. Because, why not? I gotta... You still have... Oh, you still have Cool. Still has pickup. Even evolved. I know of Arthur. The first time I ever saw Arthur was actually Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and I didn't think he was a very good character because he was very stiff. Very true to his game. Man, they really just fucking design characters like that, huh? Annoying ass characters. Almost everybody is usable with Marvel to some extent, though. It's Marvel, baby. It's just why use them when you can use characters who are so much not bad. So much better than them. Like Virgil. Virgil may cry. Zero may cry. Love that team. Chad, I am waiting for a new pasta. I'm waiting to consume. Where's my pasta? Deliver unto me, death. Is that pasta scary? I don't think that pasta's kind of... I mean, the girl eating it is a little scary. The well is dry? What game series? Who said it had to be a game series? I'm sure the well ain't dry yet. There's tons. You know how many My Little Pony ones there were? At least 8. There was at least 8 of those. So, you know, we're not out of the woods yet. Give us a media franchise? I was gonna say Mario, but I don't know if there's any Mario ones that are unknown at this point in time. I think like all of Mario's ones have been unearthed. You want to go to Annie's place? Talk about touching rusty nails? Why not? Ghosty nail. Scrolling. Got Tay. I don't have Larva. Michael. Mailing. I thought I had Apache. Did I not catch Apache? I feel like I ran into her before, didn't I? No, I didn't. Never mind. Yugi. Okay, I need Yugi. I actually need regular Komachi. And Utso. Okay. Yugi, Komachi, Utso. Hold on. Oh, there's Komachi. I see Utso as well. Very low level. And Yugi, I think I got pretty early on. Yeah, there you are. Yeah, she was very early. Okay. Seems a little long, but it do be Mario. Is it good? Mario Party DS Death Sentence. Okay. I'll pull it open for now. We'll take a better look at it in a second. Back to the decks again. Regular Reimu I don't have. And Nue. Okay. Reimu and Nue. Let's see. I'm looking. Alright. I'm looking. Give me a break. There's Reimu. Where's New? There's New. Okay. There we go. Mario Party creepypasta. Mario Party death sentence. Let's see. How long is this? That's not that bad. That's not that bad. That's readable. We'll do that. All right. Let's just get back in our position. It doesn't seem that long to me. I usually base it on how big the scroll bar is. Oh shit. Updated spooky version. I hate you. You thought Koopa worked alone, eh? Oh shit. Aki's good. Oh no. Oh no, sand, right. Oh shit. I only have 12 Ultra Balls. Oh, I'm just gonna die to sand chip next turn. Okay. Let's stick in this grass for a little bit and try that again. Shot a quick ball first. It would save me a lot of time if I didn't have to level up Aki. Okay, very good. Alright, let's get to work. Ultra Ball. Okay, try again. Ultra Ball. Okay, try again. Ultra Ball. Okay. We have reached a problem. Oh, we have a problem. Oi, 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 oi. Thank you. Preachy by nature, her lectures are long-winded, but they're intended to help oneself improve. Alright, I got her. Well, I guess that means Komachi is first up. But, also I need to... Okay. Wait, Toxic. And Komachi and Nue. Slack off. And Nue, Confuser. It's got Toxic Gas as well. Okay, back we go. I'm heading back, I'm heading back. I should buy more Ultra Balls in the event that I run into a shiny and I can't catch it, but you know, that's what save states are for. You know what, fuck it. I'll get the PP refresh here as well. Wasted a revive, but I kind of needed her to get to the grass anyway. Okay. Alright, we're back. Okay. Mario Party DS. Death sentence. Get it? Because the DS stands... No. Okay. The creepypasta. My brother Warren and I were your typical everyday gamers. We both have our favorites and would often talk a lot about our favorite games. My favorite games would have to be the Tekken series, while my brother enjoys anything that has to do with Legos. It was also thanks to him that I started getting into Nintendo DS games, and whenever I had a multiplayer game that he wanted to play with him on, he wanted me to play with him on, he would always ask me to play it, and with him I ended up caving in. Even though I do own a Nintendo DSi XL, I normally prefer playing my Xbox 360. That was how life was for us until Christmas time. It all started with me looking for some games to give my brother as a Christmas present. I looked through my Xbox 360 games, PlayStation 2 games, and some PlayStation 1 games in some of the local game shops that sell old games and new games alike. After finding some nice games, I looked over and found Nintendo DS games. I thought maybe I could find a game for him that he would like, though it was a bit hard since a lot of the games were Lego games. What? Lego games that Warren already owned, or just games that did not interest him. However, I did find a Mario Party DS game. I tried clicking this a couple times. Warren enjoyed playing Mario games. I thought maybe this would be a nice present for him. I haven't really played a lot of Mario games, but those that I remember playing I was not very good at. I picked up the Mario Party DS game and went to have the game's purchases. It was a used copy, no doubt, but the cashier checked it to make sure it was working properly. After I paid for the games, I walked out of the store trying to think of how to wrap up these games. I like Mario Party DS a lot, actually. It's a fun game. Christmas had passed and Warren had enjoyed the Mario Party DS game that I gave him. He seemed to enjoy it a lot and had already beaten story mode in about a week. From then on, it seemed that he had a new favorite game to play. Since he spent more time playing Mario Party DS, I was able to get more time on my Xbox 360. Playing my new games and watching DVDs on it. I do not own a DVD player in my room, and the Xbox 360 is in my bedroom. Okay. While I was watching a movie, Warren asked me if I wanted to play some multiplayer with him on Mario Party DS. I was not surprised, but I told him that we could play tomorrow since it was a Saturday, and it might be best to play in the morning. Warren agreed, and he went off to keep playing. So the next morning had arrived. I was already awake and waiting for Warren to get his butt up and ready. However, I heard a sudden thud that was loud enough for the whole apartment to hear. My mother went to go see what was going on outside, and there was nothing. I checked on Warren since he had not come out of his room, and he was all curled up in his bed like he was scared or something. I went over to him and asked him what was wrong, and then I noticed he was looking at his Nintendo DSi that was on the ground and open. I saw the paint chipping from the wall close to where his DSi was at, and then I rolled my eyes and said, "Why'd you throw your game?" As if I reached to pick it up, Warren started screaming and shouted, "Put it down! Put it down!" I looked at him confused, yet flinched when he was screaming. My mother ran in and tried to get my brother to explain what was wrong. He kept saying something about the game having zombies and blood and gore, but the first thing that hit me when he said that he was reading creepypastas and tried to make up some lame-ass story. However, my brain shifted to something else as I saw that he was crying. The only time that he would cry was only if he was trying to cover up his guilt over something he knew he was caught doing. But this was the first time I had seen him cry in a long time out of fear. My mother told Warren that he should lay off the video games for a while and try to get him to keep his mind off his DSi. She thought she was successful whenever she was able to get him to doing other things like making items out of duct tape, learning origami, taking karate classes, and many other things that could keep him occupied. I thought she was successful too, until one day while I was watching over him as our mom went to run an errand. Warren was busy making a wallet out of duct tape while I was doing a little bit of cleaning. He then looked over at me and said, "Hey sis, can you do me a favor?" I looked at him and said, "Sure, what is it?" He made a sigh and said, "Could you get rid of that Mario Party DS game, please? I don't want to play it anymore." I blinked once, then made a small shrug and nodded. "I'll get rid of it." I did not question him why, but I assumed that maybe whatever happened must have made him go into that small moment of insanity. I went to his room to get the Mario Party DS game cart out of his DSi and the box the game came in, but due to my curiosity kicking in, I kept it in my room to play it for later to figure out what he may have gone wrong. Was the game itself, or maybe just his DSi? I waited until my mom came home before I decided to play the game on my DSi XL. I kept my door closed, slipped the game card into my DSi XL before powering it up. I kept the volume at the low level so that I do not attract attention to my brother and have him get angry. It seemed to start up normal, of what I assumed to be normal, since I did not see any glitches or violence popping up. I touched the bottom screen to access the file menu and selected my brother's file. I got the main menu and I still did not see anything wrong. I decided to give it a shot. I ran out of toxics. Give it a shot with this game and select the party mode. I started up a new game and chose Battle Royale settings where my character was Daisy. The computer characters were Wario, Yoshi, and Toad. I saw what seemed like my brother had unlocked all the stages, though there was one stage that caught my eye, the last stage called The Last Party. I was curious about it, but I wanted to try one of the other stages first before jumping into that stage, so I selected Wiggly's Garden. It was later that I found out that the last stage was supposed to be Bowser's Pinball Machine, and that the last party was not a real stage. Okay. I played through the level and was able to get the hang of how to play. I was lucky that I collected the most stars and beat the level. After my curiosity got the best of me after playing that level, I decided to check out the last party stage to see what it was all about. I selected the level, and I selected Daisy again. But my opponents this time were Mario, Waluigi, and Peach. The stage looked very dark for the normal chipperness of the rest of the game. It had lava in it, but I paid it no mind, as well as some dark gothic architecture, such as statues, a large castle, and a river. The river seemed to be normal since there was no sign of anything that would go wrong with it. Something that intrigued me with the star location was shown. The text box had said, "This is where the star is located. You can trade 20 coins to receive the star. But you better hurry and get it before you end up trapped." Trapped? Maybe it must be one of the special actions of this board. Chat, you want to take a bet? You want to take a wager right now? Alright, here's my wager. My wager is that that river is going to flow with blood at some point in this story. Alright, that's my wager. Here we go. Everything started up normal despite the haunting yet chilling music with the board, but I thought it would be normal since it was a haunting yet chilling environment on the board. After the first turn in the first minigame, the game changed the situation called a game changer. I blinked and found it was set up just like a Final 5 frenzy. Bowser appeared and said in the text boxes, "Alright little guys, time to switch things up a bit." He then named off the order of the current rankings with Peach being in last place. Bowser then said, "So Peach, you are falling behind already. It's the first turn. Well, let's see what fate has in store for you." Then the selector appeared as the cursor was going through the list at a fast speed. While it was going, I saw a selection that read elimination. I wondered what it meant by that, but it landed on get 20 coins. Peach ended up getting 20 coins as promised, and the game commenced on like normal. Well, that's nice of you, Bowser. The level proceeded like normal with the game changer. After each mini game, there was something made me very confused at the fourth turn. Ooh. Hold on. Cliffhanger. Cliffhanger, cliffhanger. Where am I? Okay, here we are. Did you have toxic? No. As it was Mario's turn, he used his double dice he had bought earlier and ended up landing on a green question mark space. The green screen suddenly cut to black before the sounds of Mario screaming. Not the blood-curdling screams or screeches you normally see in other creepypasta. So you're aware this is a creepypasta. You know, that right there is definitely gotta be an accident. What do you mean normally see in other creepypasta? Why are you writing in that? The fact that you put the word other in there completely destroys all credibility of this story. Because you've acknowledged that this is a creepypasta and not a story. So you failed. You made a mistake. You blew it. Absolutely blew it. Every word counts, chat. Don't waste them. But like his normal cry or yell whenever he falls echoed through the speakers, he was then shown to have disappeared from the board, and his current stats had disappeared too. I was confused on this, but the game commences normally until we got to the minigame. Although it played like normal, it kept feeling off, just having 3 characters rather than 4. After the minigame, the Game Changer segment started. But when Bowser appeared, he said in the text box, well, someone already got eliminated, huh? Well, I'll let you shrimps be for now." The game then continued on as normal. When my turn started up, I noticed something that looked like a prison cell, and I saw what looked like a beaten up Mario with patches of his cloth missing and having bruises and cuts all over him. I thought, poor Mario, what the hell happened to him when he was eliminated? The game proceeded on like normal until the Final 5 frenzy started. Peach was in last place yet again. Classic Peach. The cursor flashed on down the selections. It ended up on landing on elimination, and the screen went black, with Peach's scream echoing through the speakers. Once everything was shown, Bowser then said, "Looks like you're one less player now. Let's keep going with the fun. Wahahaha." Disney, Daisy and Waluigi were left in the game. I saw that the prison cell with Peach in it looking all beaten up and bruised, though she was in worse shape than Mario was. The rest of the level played out as normal until I had won. However, after naming the winner, Bowser appeared on the upper screen. He said, "Hold it, this game is not over." However, you have one more minigame to play, Daisy. I blinked and saw that I was taken to a new minigame I'd never seen before. From what it looked like, the 3 losing characters ended up as zombies. As the only surviving character, I need to run away from them within the time limit. I also have a set amount of health, so if it drops, they win. I thought it was no big deal and proceeded on for the minigame. As the minigame started, I saw Mario Peace. Peace. How did you do that? E and H are not near each other. And Waluigi. But they all looked like zombies. Their skin was a dull gray color. Their eyes were pure white. And their clothes were torn with cuts all over their bodies. Peach's hair had turned to a very dull light blonde color as Mario and Luigi's mustaches were black and dirty. As for Daisy, she looked scared and was running away from the 3. Once the game started, I moved Daisy and she was running like she was running for her life. She was in a panic state, trying to avoid the 3. I ended up making a wrong turn and got clawed by Peach, making me lose a heart for my health. I kept having Daisy run and run. As she was running, it looked like Daisy had the back of her dress torn. You can't show that on a Nintendo game. After a while, I started to wonder how long this game was supposed to last. I was down to 2 hearts already with Daisy's hair a bit messed up, and the other parts Daisy's dress torn off. I checked the timer on the upper screen, and it was stuck on 99. I said out loud, "You gotta be kidding me." Luckily, no one heard me, so I was able to continue the game in peace. I kept trying to avoid the zombie characters, but there was no use, and I ended up losing. However, after the minigame ended, it was not the end of everything. The upper screen showed a beaten up Daisy trying to get away from the 3 zombie characters. Suddenly, everything turned black and Daisy's screams echoed through the speaker. I sighed a bit as I waited to be taken back to the main menu, but then I jumped at what looked like a picture of Daisy laying on the ground and her limbs torn up. Her eyes were rolled back to her head and her clothes in a more torn up state, as well as blood escaping from her body. It was horrifying. No wonder my brother did not want to play this game anymore. Hell, last time I checked, the game was rated E, not to mention my brother hated anything zombie related. Once the image disappeared, I was taken back to the main menu. I turned off my DSi XL and got to my laptop, trying to see if I could find anything regarding that final stage. However, I could not find anything on the intranet talking about the last party and the final minigame. So I decided that I would get some screenshots of what I could gather. I started up the party mode again and got a picture of the stage selection screen with my camera, but sadly the battery of my DSi XL had died and the electricity in the apartment went out. What a convenient situation. I sighed and decided to have to take care of it in the morning. I plugged my DSi into the charger so that it could charge when the electricity returned. The next morning I woke up to see my DSi XL and camera gone. I got up and saw my brother getting the game out and deleting the image from my camera. I freaked out and grabbed both of my devices from him and shouted, "What the hell are you doing? I'm trying to figure out why this stuff is in your game." Warren looked at me as if I was insane and said, "Don't bother, it's only going to scare more people." He then had a hammer and destroyed the game card. I was pissed because I was trying to be a good sister and figure out why my brother was scared of a game, and I still could not figure out what the truth behind the game was. Could it be a mystery that was hidden inside after completing some special conditions? Could it just be a hack by some sick, twisted individual? Maybe Warren was right. Maybe it's best people do not see this, or they could get scarred for life, just like him. Death sentence, huh? Okay. Yes, chew on that story. Hey chat, we got some stories in the sidebar. We have The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, episode 66. We have Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Hacked Cartridge. Genesis. Hong Kong 97 Conspiracy Theory. Maria's Revenge, referring to Sonic Maria. And Roblox Nazi Group. So, you want to read one of those? We wanna read one of those? 3 Sonic ones. I don't think it's a good idea. I gotta know Maria's Revenge now. What do you think, chat? Do we read Maria's Revenge? What does she have to be vengeful over? She seemed pretty, you know, accepting of her fate. I'm gonna click it. What are those lads in Roblox getting up to? Yeah, I bet you're curious, but that is a one-way ticket to Ban City if the content is not good. I'm gonna click Maria's Revenge. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I scrolled down, and these are the first 2 comments I read. This is literally the worst Sonic creepypasta I have ever read in my life. And this creepypasta made me poop my diaper. So, yeah. Sounds good. Let's do it. Lava plume? Actually, don't give up on that. That's burn chip. We can fish for burns and get out so fast kills like that. Alright. I'm gonna read it, chat. Here we go. Yo, burn! It's a 30% chance! Maria's Revenge. This is an account of odd gameplay I had during Sonic Adventure 2 for the Nintendo GameCube while playing on a modified build of the Dolphin emulator. A couple days after the events described below, I wrote the story based on my memories. Footage I had recorded in the notes I jotted down. I've also put all the footage into one video and posted it on YouTube. The link is at the bottom of this page. Thank you for your time. Maria's Revenge. I had recently gotten into Wii hacking. Wait. It has touchy stuff in it. Probably not a good idea. Uh-oh. How? What do you mean touchy? Uh-oh. What are these screenshots? Okay. Kill the message. Okay. Alright, hold on. I didn't read the rest of the comment. This is literally the worst Sonic creepypasta I've ever read in my life. To all of you praising it, look at yourselves. This intends to be nothing more than shock value. It's disgusting, poorly made, and as tone-deaf as a story can get. It has zero sense of realism or common sense. Its plot holes are obvious once you think about it for more than 5 minutes. At least the original Sonic EXE story was straightforward. This is so pretentious that it hurts. Well, chat. This is horny? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Alright, well, we're cutting it. Cutting it short. Yeah. Yeah, we're cutting it short. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, Gerald. What were you doing, buddy? What were you doing? Not good things, apparently. Alright, that's vetoed. Found a little Freddy. Little Freddy action. What do you mean, Freddy action? Well. Shit pasta, shit pasta. Birthday at Freddy's. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, this is gonna be good. Oh, that's quick. Okay. Here we go. Birthday at Freddy. You know, parents are always finding new ways to entertain and enrich their kids. In fact, the earliest years are the most important in a child's life when it comes to developing their young mind. This is no different from me. My mom would always take me to the arcades, complete with all sorts of top-of-the-line games. Or the parks or the jungle gyms that were always scolding hot for being in the sun all day. There weren't too many options to choose from, but for what they were, they're up there with those were what made up my fondest childhood memories. As a treat for my 7th birthday, my mom took me to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. It was supposed to be a fun little place from what I can remember, a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun come to life, or something like that. It looked really promising, to be honest with you. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited about going there. Chat, there's already an issue with this story. One, Freddy is not real. Freddy not real. So, How am I supposed to believe this story's real? It's short, so I'll continue, but I don't believe for a second this is real. The pizza was what you'd expect, lazily put together. Didn't taste quite right. But you didn't go for the food. You went to see Freddy Fazbear and his gang of colorful friends, Bonnie the Bunny and Chica the Chick. And there was Foxy, too. He lived in the Pirate Cove. Thinking back on it now, the animatronics were pretty good for the time. They had full body movement with singing on stage. Even Foxy moved around quite a bit on his little pirate ship. In fact, I remember that after a few songs, Freddy and friends would come up on stage and walk around, interacting with the kids. They would walk up to the kids and say things like, "How's the pizza? Good, I bet. Are you having fun? I know I am." I remember what Foxy always said, "It's me, I'm gonna get ya." It was cute. To keep the kids entertained, there's little games they'd play, like Follow the Freddy, which is just follow the leader, or Foxy's Treasure Hunt, where kids would be given small trinkets, and Foxy would chase after them like a game of tag. I remember I had finished my pizza, slice of pizza, and I asked if I could play the Treasure Hunt game with Foxy. My mom said it was okay, so I got up. And one of the workers gave me a tiny palm-sized treasure chest. I was actually really excited. Foxy was my favorite. Me and about 6 other kids were given small treasures. That's when Foxy jumped out the Pirate Cove. He yelled, "It's me! I'm gonna get ya!" And then that's when we all scrambled. It was great fun. Oh, where am I? I looked over my shoulder and saw Foxy chasing around the other kids, and at one point he even almost got me. Boy, Foxy was fast. Man, he's fast. Well, Utso went pretty quick. Well, 38 though. Hopefully Yugi isn't that long. Alright. I didn't quite know why at the time, but when I was in the middle of playing Treasure Hunt, my mom lifted me up abruptly and carried me swiftly to the exit. She said things like, "We gotta go right now, and we never should have come here." I've never heard her urgency in her voice before. I thought that maybe it was because some kids started crying when Foxy caught them. They had screamed really loud and started sobbing. I remember they had a bunch of parents rushed over. There were all sorts of commotion and noise, but I was too busy having fun to notice what was wrong. Anything was wrong. But now that I think about it, I do remember that my mom carried me through the exit. I saw Foxy standing above the body of the kid he had caught. He was staring right at me, with crimson liquid drifting from his sharp teeth. "It's me! I'm gonna get ya!" Oh shit. He that cheated in the game, but he doesn't kill kids in real life. Foxy is not a bad guy, he is a nice guy. Inhale my dong, enragement child. I edited it to just get rid of some idiot's stupid inputs. Sorry about that. Good. Was it the bite? I don't know. That was the bite. He bit. Sonic the Hedgehog, episode 66. Huh. There's just pictures of people. Is Tails dying? Oh shit, Tails is dying. Alright, we gotta read this. Alright, here we go. Tails die. Okay. Can anyone help me out here? I'm looking for a lost episode of Sonic, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm sure some of you remember, but if you're from the northern part of Virginia and watched the show, you may have seen this. Some backstory first, however. I first recall seeing the episode when I was 8. It was episode 66 of season 1. There's only one season, and it was aired in Northern Virginia, as the broadcasting stations ignored the notice not to play the final episode of the bundle due to its extreme adult content. What? This was the station's choice, as it had purchased the syndication rights of the area, but concerned parents later sued them after several children came down with light neutral hemorrhaging that caused severe nightmares and vom. Bleh. Viewing this episode killed no one, and older viewers seemed immune to the effects of whatever caused the bleeding, but needless to say, a freeze was put on the production and was hushed up on the news. The show was replaced by the series simply named Sonic the Hedgehog. I started my search for the episode after the nightmares from watching the episode return after my 16 years. The nightmares were vivid. They contained visions of people in a long, line. All of them clutching their faces in despair. People in the line spread their full length of the street, and all had seemingly abandoned their cars to join the others waiting. Everything had a dark red tone to it, like the sun was burning out. But the sun's burning out the sunset, but never fully went down. Those that weren't in line littered the streets, dead. I can't recall much of the dream beyond hints of looting, things like a line of dead riot police, smashed windows, a collapsed skyscraper in the distance, and upturned cars. But no one in the line paid attention to this. They simply sobbed as the line shifted forward. The nightmare ended with one of the members of the line looking directly at me. He said nothing, but shifted to an unnatural pose. Arm bent at 45 degrees angles and his legs spread into a box over the ground. His mouth agape. As he did this, the rest of the people in the line did the same, striking a slightly different twisted pose. All were looking at me, and I awoke with tear in my eyes. I'm not from Northern Virginia, so I don't know the validity of this, so I don't know. My logical step to finding this episode lies with the station that originally aired it. There's nothing odd about the station. Its old management had long since moved on, committed suicide, as the new manager pointed out. Over a cup of coffee, the new manager and I discussed the station's past. I intentionally eased into the subject of the last episode. As it turned out, I was right to do so. When I brought it up, John, as he will now be known, literally spilled his coffee on his lap. John TV station. He told me that subject was a personal one to him. As it turned out, John was the original owner's son. He was kind enough to explain to me that the legal fees he was receiving in conjunction with the mail he was receiving from children and parents alike had pushed him too far, and he hung himself in the family kitchen. I was a little taken back by this news, so I figured I was digging too deep and decided to drop this madness. Maybe call it a day. But before I could exit John's office, he told me he would send me the mail. His reasoning? He wanted me to know what happened. His curiosity was almost as deep as mine, which wasn't surprising considering this episode killed his father. I told him I'd take a look deeper into the subject and get back to him on anything I dug up. Chat, the last line I read is his dad killed himself, and I look over in chat and all I see is Gigafumo. Now you gotta understand why the putting one and one together here is my fault, but yeah, that's not what I expected to see after I read that line. I know you posted it when I called him John TV station, but the timing was just unfortunate. That's all. Okay. Where was I? The letters were the ones I expected. Angry mothers asking what kind of station would air such filth. Legal fees ranging in the hundreds of thousands of dollars that the Sunday station broke in the 90s. And of course, drawings from children depicting scenes of the episode. There are things like the blood and unusually dull colors that persisted throughout the horrible things, such as Robotnik vomiting blood and Tails crying over the corpse of a feathered, headless bird. One letter, however, caught my attention specifically. It was a letter from the studio that produced the series. Thank you for purchasing the rights to the air of the adventure of Sonic the Hedgehog. Copyright Sega 1993 to 1994. All rights reserved. Enclosed is a series list, episode descriptions, and episodes 1 to 66. The entirety of Season 1 and legal information regarding ratings and air times. In poor handwriting at the bottom of the page, a scrawled note was placed with the words. Wait, why am I... Whoa, you killed that? Damn. You just fucking karate chopped it and won. How did you win? I guess it's super effective. Look at you go. You go, girl. The scrawled note was placed with the words, Episode 66 is not to be aired. This is a database error and contains corrupted material. The initial JS followed. I set out to find this episode, but to no avail. My second plan was to ask the people who sent the angry letters about the episode about their take on it. But those who had not moved away since then gave me the canned, I don't know, or not this again responses. But I did change upon one man around my age that remembers the taped the episode. Oh. He invited me in and showed me his VHS copy of the episode. It was badly decayed from the years of neglect in his garage, though. I could only make out a few bits, Tails screaming at Sonic, the tears in his eyes. How could you, Sonic? What have you done? The rest of the episode was static, with the occasional scream and twisted figures. Oh. I gotta go get my PP back. Hold on. Hold on, I gotta get my PP back first. Oh. Oh. Not animals or people, but figures staring at the viewer, with their circular mouths and open black eyes emitting a slight screech. How do you know their eyes are emitting a screech? It's a television program. Are you stupid? How stupid are you? Stupid enough to write this, I guess. Stupid. God damn it. Alright. Where was I? The tape sent chills up my spine, and I asked if I could take the tape for research I was doing in the episode. He agreed quite readily, and I promised to keep him updated about it. Took the tape back to John, and we watched it for about 15 minutes until John jumped back in his seat. He told me he saw the figure with black eyes, but it spoke for a brief moment. He claimed he saw its lips move, mouthing a word he said he thought was eternity. He claimed he saw, we watched the same 1 second flash for what it must have been 30 times, and each time we both attempted to freeze the frame on the figure. It disappeared when the video paused. I called it a day there. We needed a better copy of the episode if we were going to find out why it ended the entire series and caused me nightmares from my childhood. Short of traveling to France and talking to the animation studio, I gave them a call. Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was produced in France. That explains so fucking much. Yeah, I always like how these last episode creepypastas are just like, and the episode was full of all kinds of crazy shit, and it's like, how did we get to this point? Do you have any idea how long it takes for a single episode to be produced? Clearly not if you think somebody actually just put all this fucking together. Like, huh? What's going on in the world here? Alright, I gave them a call. They bluntly told me there was no episode 66. 65 was the last episode of the season. Knowing this was a dead end, I called again and asked for the contact information of the voice actors. Why would they give you that? Like, why would they give you that? Is there any reason for you to have that? Probably not, right? Alright. Back to work. Reimu. Is that gonna... That's not even close to killing you. Oh, wait, yes it is. Yeah, kill her ass. Smell these salts, bitch. Smell them. Juicy. Get absolutely juiced up. Most of the information given was out of date, it seemed. The information given to the voice actors of Robotnik, Scratch Grounder, and Sonic all gave number not in service. Errors or people told me I had the wrong number. However, I did manage to contact one person. Christopher Evan Welch was the voice of Tail. I managed to hook him for a fake interview about his roles in 90s television, as you would expect. Chris turned up wearing casual clothing and a smile on his face. He looked like the average guy in his late 20s. As we sat down, I asked about his roles in bands and television, working my way up to Sonic. When I did get there, however, he got really quiet and evasive. I asked him specifically about episode 66, and he froze. His pupils almost retracted to nothing. And then he looked at me, telling me the episodes only went up to 65. I knew better, of course, and asked him about his script, where he was talking about Sonic, about something he had done. The man grabbed his face, not in frustration, but to wipe his eyes. They were beginning to well up. He took a deep breath. Yeah, throw shit at her. Yeah, Captain, throw shit. He told me the episode was written by Jeffrey Scott, and the usual spiel that follows. Jeffrey was a nice man. He was very patient with Chris as he read the script, being 11 at the time. Oh. But as the final season drew to a close, Jeffrey became very angry with everyone, even 11-year-old Chris. The voice actors for Robotnik and Sonic threatened to quit over his behavior, but the executive producer paid them both very large sums of cash in hand right there to read up from the script Jeffrey had written. Apparently, Jeffrey had an order from the high-up, topped the Sega as far as Chris knew at the time, to produce this episode, and it was listed as a business priority. Chris explained to me how, as they read the script, he felt great sorrow and terror. It was as if they had lost a close friend or family member, even seen those people die before them. He told me that the scarring of the vocal cords from the screaming that was invoked by reading the script, even the extreme exhaustion of the other voice actors involved, The session ended with the security pulling the voice actor from the studio before things went even worse. Even his mother pulled him from the show the next day, fearing for his safety. I stopped the interviews there and asked for a copy of the episode, but none were ever sent back to the voice actors. That is as far as I've come in the search of episode 66. I've heard that there may be a copy in the studio in France, but I have no way of getting there on my budget. I know it exists, and many more people out there must have had a VHS copy. That's why I asked the internet. Help me in my search. Please! Alright, so we didn't actually get much information on what the episode contained, just that it made cry. It made me cry. Okay. Wow. Weird story, but I like. If you can you put the real footage? Yeah, why not upload the real footage? You had a VHS. Come on. This is Pac-Man music, dude. This is actually Pac-Man music. Not the worst thing I ever read. Not the worst thing I ever read, but not particularly engaging, I suppose, if I could be honest with ye. What about Sonic the Hedgehog 3 hacked cartridge? Ooh. Never mind. That is way too long. Why is Sally Acorn in there? Why is the stage made up of Sally Acorns? Why is all of Sonic's friends there? Cream the Rabbit? Amy Rose? Charmy Bee? Mighty Armadillo? Blue Sally? It's still going! Oh my god, it's so long. Really good. Whoa, this is creepy. Nice job. Whoa, it's perfect. What? Probably 5 out of 10. Interesting. Why do you make the video private? I don't know. 10 out of 10. Damn, that was messed up. Okay. Why did I read this at midnight? I'm literally shaking. 8 out of 8 might. I like the story. It's pretty good. Okay. Dope. Was pretty good. Wow. Well, chat. According to the comments, it's not bad. It's also huge, so I'm not reading it. Ronald McDonald House. What the fuck did you just take me to? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna read it because the scroll bar is tiny. I can't read it. Shit's hacked, yo. I read none of this. Abandoned by God. Ronald McDonald House. I'm sure you've heard of... I'm actually hungry for a burger now that I've read his name. How about that? How about that? You fucking got me. Okay. Okay. I'm sure you've heard of Ronald McDonald House Charity. They provide housing for families of sick kids when they're in the hospital. Seems pretty innocent, right? Well, there's another side to the charity. There's another type of Ronald McDonald House, one that not many people know about. There's one in most big cities. You won't find it by looking for it. It doesn't have an address. It doesn't have a sign above the door. It doesn't even have windows. No, the only way you'll find it is if you're taken there. That's how I found out. I've never met my real parents. I've been in and out of foster families and group homes here in Detroit since I was a kid. Well, of course it's in Detroit. I'm 15 now, and what they did refer to me as is a bad kid. Always causing trouble, always getting thrown out in place of another unsuspecting do-gooder who thinks they can help me. I always prove them wrong. My caseworker sat across the black metal table looking weary and frazzled. On the table between us was a thick, letter-sized brown envelope. My case file. Well, your reputation has preceded you, she said, and now you only have 2 options, military school in Lansing or the Ronald McDonald House, which had miraculously cleared you for acceptance. I don't have the patience for drill sergeants at 5 a.m. revile. So how bad could a halfway house named after a fast food clown possibly be? Ronald McDonald House. It was. Dark clouds loomed above me that day. The day I climbed into the back of my caseworker's town car. My few belongings in a backpack and clothes on my back. That's all I could take. One of the few belongings I had was a photo album filled with pictures of all the foster families I had been with. It was nice to remember some of them, even though I had royally fucked it up each time. I've had a few cases who went through the Ronald McDonald house, the caseworker said from the front seat. Things went so well for those kids I never had to transfer them anywhere else. In fact, the house took over the case files and everything. We drove into downtown Detroit past all the familiar landmarks. I had been thrown out of one foster home just outside town because I snuck into downtown Detroit with some neighbor kids to sneak into a dive bar. Good times. Well, here we are. The car came to a stop. I looked out the window. We had parked in front of a tall, gray, windowless building, sandwiched between two other industrial buildings on a narrow city street. I noticed there was an address in the building to my left and on the right, but none on this particular building. Not even a sign. That's a bad sign, wouldn't you agree? Ha ha ha. Get it? Get it? There's no sign? It's a bad sign. Anyway. Are you sure? I asked, hesitating as I opened the car door and climbed out of the back seat. I slung my backpack over my shoulder, clinging tightly to the strap. I got Raymu. Alright, new. Why did Raymu take so fucking long to evolve? Jeez, you're needy. Bring it in. Toxic and toxic gas. Alright. Where are we? Where are we? Tightly closed the strap, I followed the caseworker up to the windowless metal doors. She pressed a buzzer and spoke to someone inside, and the doors clicked to unlock. We walked in. As soon as the metal doors closed behind us, I noticed the pin-drop silence. It was the sort of silence that is so oppressive and empty it almost deafens you. Across the dimly lit lobby, there was a glass window with someone inside, a secretary. She was turned away, typing something intently. We walked over to the window. The caseworker rang a bell on the counter, and the secretary spun around in her chair. Her face was painted like a clown. Like Ronald McDonald, in fact. She even had a short, curly red hair. Otherwise, she wore a typical white nurse dress. What a visual image this one is. I wanted to laugh at how bizarre it was, but I couldn't. A chill swept down my spine. Something was not right. I watched as the nurse and my caseworker interacted. Paperwork was passed through the window. The caseworker slid my case file under the glass as the nurse slid her some papers to sign. As my caseworker signed the papers, the nurse looked at me. Her smile should have been warm and welcoming, but all I saw in her eyes was hunger. I can't stay here, I stammered loudly. Take me to military school in Lansing. Please! Please! What's the matter, sweetie? The nurse asked in her muffled voice, slightly to the glass. Afraid of clowns? I looked into her hungry eyes. Now there was a malicious glint as she laughed. My caseworker laughed too, obliviously, and said, Now, don't overreact. You'd hate the military school. Besides, this will be good for you. Yes, said the clown nurse, this will be good for you. Before I could object, I heard a slam behind me. I spun around to see an open door in the far corner of the lobby to the left of the front desk window. There was no one there, just the light that flooded in from the door. Then the creeping shadows, shrill, echoing laughter, and growing shadows along the wall inside the door. Oh, said the caseworker, here comes the welcoming committee. As I stared in horror, clutching the strap of my backpack, my caseworker patted me on the shoulder for the last time. Don't worry, honey, it'll be different this time. You'll feel right at home here, I promise. She turned to leave. I felt bile churning in my stomach. No, I said desperately, you can't leave me here. Oh no, I gotta get going. I never did like clowns. And with that, she left me there. The metal door slammed behind her, and I was alone. I faced the open doorway by the front desk again. The shadow had almost entered the room. The piercing laughter was filling the lobby with sound. I ran for the front doors, pounded and yanked and pushed and screamed for help, screamed for my caseworker, screamed for anyone, please, God! I turned to see the nurse behind the glass smiling at me again, and then they entered, laughing all the while. A whole group of laughing nurses with clown faces and red hair. Some male, some female, but all with the same terrifying Ronald McDonald makeup. And in the dim light of the lobby, I could see the glint of metal tools in their hands. Coming up the rear was a pair of clown nurses rolling a metal table complete with restraints. Get the fuck away from me, I screamed. I pounded at the metal doors again. Let me out of here! They surrounded me, grabbed me as I thrashed and screamed and tried to tear myself away. Laughing as I kicked and squirmed, they slammed me onto the rolling table and strapped me down. I looked around wildly. I was surrounded. Let me go, I screamed, twisting and turning and pulling at the restraints. They rolled me through the open doorway and down a seemingly endless white hallway. They laughed and laughed and laughed. They waved their shiny scalpels and razors and needles a mere inches from my face just to make me flinch and scream. This made them laugh even harder. I didn't realize I didn't poison you. The last thing I remember before one of them finally injected me was the hands. Gloved fingers prodding inside my mouth and pulling at the sides of my mouth, distorted my screams and forcing an unnatural grin onto my tear-streaked face. My tear-streaked, sweaty face, hot, rancid breath in my face, and the whispered, perverted voice speaking the words, "We love to see you smile." Then as the maniacal laughter seemed to warp and wind down like a dying record player, everything faded to black. I opened my eyes and was blinded by the bright lights above, shielding my groggy eyes from the fluorescent bulbs. I turned on my side and looked around. Oh. Cool. Baba Booey. Alright, where am I? I opened my eyes and was blinded by the floor. Yeah, a ceiling, tall white walls covered in scratch marks and stains. Small drain in the corner of the floor. My toilet, perhaps. A door with no windows, and on the floor by the door, my backpack. I tried to sit up. My body ached, and the moment I sat upright, my vision started spinning. Wonder what they drugged me with. I realized I was shivering. I looked down. I wasn't wearing my own clothes anymore. I was wearing a dirty, ripped hospital gown. Bright yellow with a pattern of Ronald McDonald heads all over. Nothing underneath. I heard faint, muffled sounds from somewhere in the building. It sounded like screams. I tried to stand, but couldn't keep my balance. My vision was beginning to stabilize, but my body still felt like rubber. I sank to my knees and crawled over to my backpack. Before I got there, I tried to open the door. As expected, it was locked. I slumped onto the floor beside my backpack and unzipped. All that remained inside was the photo album that had taken my notebook and pens and all my cell phone. Of course they did. I wearily opened the photo album, but instead of the photos that had been there, photos of myself with my previous foster family's photos where I had attempted to look happy and hopeful even though I knew I wouldn't be there for long. Inside of those photos, they were like crime scene photos. And in each one, I recognized one of my former foster families brutally murdered and covered in blood. My heart raced and my stomach churned. I began to turn the pages quicker, each page a new photo, a new family, new carnage. I recognized their faces and the insides of their homes. I had lived with all these people, and now they were nailed. I came to the last few pages. A photo of a house at night, then a window of that house. Inside the house, a dark hallway with light coming from one doorway. Then a photo of my caseworker brushing her teeth at the bathroom mirror, then a photo of her looking at the camera in horror, then a photo of the caseworker naked, covered in her own blood, contorted into an unnatural position in her bathtub. Now, here's what I don't understand about this. Alright, let me explain. So earlier she said that she'd done this before and she sent one of her cases off to them and they took care of all the paperwork. But now we have John protagonist here and now the caseworker is getting is doing the gritty with old death herself. Like, what's going on here? Why is she dead now when we've already established that she's like, how, if you're gonna kill the caseworker, doesn't that seem like a bad idea? If you're, what are you doing here? What's your plan with this one? The caseworker clearly didn't know what was going on, so killing her just means you lost a body who sends the people your way. All for what? So you can like, you didn't even need to do this. This is completely pointless. What was the point of this? I turned to the last page. Written inside the back cover of the photo album were 3 words. You never existed. I felt bile rising in my stomach. I threw the book to the ground and crawled over to the hole in the floor and vomited. They were right. Having killed everyone who ever knew me, it is as though I never existed. Oh. I heard more faint screaming in the distance. I knew I had to get out. I wiped the vomit off my face in my hospital gown and crawled back over to my backpack. Hopefully they hadn't found my secret weapon. I unzipped the front pocket and reached down into the very bottom, my fingers scraping the fabric. Sure enough, there they were, flush with the seams in the bag, nearly undetectable. A pin I used for picking locks. I told you, I'm a bad kid. I leaned against the door and listened. I could hear footsteps approaching, but just as soon as they had come, they faded in the other direction. I knew I had to work fast. I jiggled the handle with one hand and picked the lock with the other hand. It was surprisingly simple. Holding the handle, I slowly pulled myself to my feet. I could maintain my balance now. I pulled the door open, just a crack. A clown nurse darted past. My heart almost stopped, but his footsteps didn't slow or change, and soon faded. He didn't notice me. I poked my head out the door, seemingly endless white hallways in either direction. The distant screams were louder, coming from all around. Taking a deep breath, I stepped into the hallway and closed the door behind me. I decided to go to the right, passing doors identical to the door that had been behind. I heard the screams and sobbing of children. Coming from behind each one, I stopped for a moment at one door. I heard the crying of a child inside. I jiggled the handle to see if I could let him out. Locked. I kept moving, looking behind me every few seconds to make sure no nurse had come into the hallway. When I passed a set of white double doors, I stopped for a moment. The words "Play Place" was written in tall, thin letters across the width of both doors. I heard more screaming coming from within, the screams of multiple people. And laughter, the insane, shrill laughter of the clown nurses. I shuddered. I was afraid to find out what sort of torture was happening inside, and I knew I had to keep moving. I saw a door ahead with a stairway symbol. I headed for it. As I opened the door, I glanced behind me and saw two clown nurses emerging from the play place room. Their white nurse outfits were covered in streaks of blood. Quickly shut myself into the stairwell, hoping they hadn't noticed me. The stairwell was dimly lit. The cement walls and rusty railings. I looked behind at the door I had just closed. There's a red number 5 on the door, so I must be on the 5th floor. I decided I had to get to the ground level. Each footstep echoed as I began to descend the stairs. I couldn't hear the screaming anymore, just a low, deep humming sound, like pipes in the walls. It was a welcome respite. Finally came to the door numbered 1. The staircase seemed to descend a few floors lower, but I stopped here and slowly peeked the door. More white hallways. No clown nurses to be seen. So far, so good. I stepped to the door and walked into the hallway. I noticed I couldn't hear any screaming on the floor, just the buzz of the fluorescent tube lights above. And break time! Because this batch of pogies is completo. Why does everything in this fucking game evolve at level 40, huh? Like, what is going on here, man? Oh, Jesus Christ. Nothing evolves. They're all bad. Level 40, man. That's so far. Komachi, 35. Reimu, 40. It's too much. Stop. It's just too much. Unnecessary. It's overkill. Alright, well. Back to looking. I'm back to looking. Puppet decks. Who's next? I don't have a sea shimmy. Where the fuck you get a sea shimmy? Huh. I don't know where that is exactly. That must be the rock climb grass. I never got a Tojiko either? Okay. I don't have Ellen. I meant to click on it. Shit. Alright, Ellen. Ellen. There you are. Okay. How did I not catch a Tojiko? What? Where the fuck is that? Oh, I know where that is. Yeah, that's... How did I not catch her? Hold on. Let's just get her real quick. I'll go catch the shimmy as well, because I'm pretty sure I know where that is. Don't worry, we'll continue Ronald McDonald's house. Just give me a second. I need more Ultra Balls, but I need to not buy too many, because I need money for shards. So 20 should be okay. Yeah, it's this route here, right? I'm pretty sure it is. Does this count as in the middle? I guess I have to look at my little map. I'm pretty sure I ran into one in this grass before. Did I not? I didn't run into it in the grass further up under Cycling Road. And I don't remember running into it in Wayward Cave either. So... No, they are in the cave. Oh. How did I not run into them before then? I don't have a Pokemon that can learn Cut, do I? Oh my god. Alright. Hold on. There's no way you can't learn Cut. You in the rock climb while we're at it? Yeah. Guess we'll worry about that later. I didn't go in the main Wayward Cave. That would probably explain why that's the case, huh? I only went in the part where the Gibble was. Okay, let me just run through this. Hopefully their catch rates aren't stupid. Okay, Kogasa, that's enough. Okay. That's enough, champ. Leave me alone. I want to hear about this man's daring escape from Ronald facility. Okay. That's a Ruma. Man. That's Joshka. Surely she's not rare, right? Let's get back to reading. What was I? Staircase needed to send a few floors lower, but I don't have a Sega either. Okay, well, guess we're gonna grab you too. Okay. Wicked Hermit only cares about herself. Harming others doesn't bother her if it helps her get what she wants. I don't remember if I have regular Sega. I caught one in the wild, I think. I don't have a Futo either. Okay. I can't weaken you, so please stay in the ball. Please. Stay in the ball. Thank you. Tao's the cheating death but transferred her soul into an object. Okay. Now I don't remember if I had Miko. But we're here for Tojiko, who I know I don't have, so she's getting added no matter what. But I also want to go get that shimmy, because I don't think I've caught a. I might have caught a big shimmy actually. There's one. Okay. You have a memento or something? I ran into you before. Okay. Ghost of Soga Clansman can cause lightning to fall. Alright, can any of you assholes learn rock climb? Yeah, so this is where Shimmy is. So she's probably a rare encounter in the grass, but I'll check the rock climb stuff. You just grab Kyoko, I suppose. Kyoko definitely has rock climb. But for now, I'll move out the ones. I'll keep Tojiko. I don't actually know if I caught a Futo, so I'll leave them there for now. I keep Tojiko. Grab Kyoko because I know she has rock climb. I don't have to play that game. Go check it out. Yeah, I don't remember if I have Miko or not, so I'm just not going to worry about it for now. Miko's also probably a rare encounter, so it's not going to be the most fun thing in the world. Okay. So we're just looking for Shimmy. Alright, back to the story. No, I shouldn't need rock climb, because the grass is right over there as well, and the grass isn't different. But I'm up here now, because I'm up here now. More white hallways, no clown nurses seen. So far, so good. I stepped to the door and walked into the hallway. I noticed I couldn't hear any screaming on this floor. It's just the buzz of the fluorescent tube lights above. I came to the end of the hallway and yet another set of double doors. A large red cross, the kind you'd see on a lifeguard stand or a first aid kit, was painted across the width of the doors. I pressed my ear to the door. All I heard was a slow rhythmic pulse like a machine at work, and faintly a beeping sound like you'd hear in a hospital room. I know I shouldn't have opened the door. I knew this wasn't the exit. I knew I should keep looking, but I had to see. What did he see? I turned the handle. It wasn't locked. I peeked inside. It was a cavernous white room. Fluorescent lights flickered and buzzed. I saw wires hanging all around, and hanging from the ceiling in rows. Kids. Kids in hospital gowns like mine, attached to white wooden crosses affixed to the ceiling, literally crucified. They were silent, their heads drooping forward, their eyes either closed or staring at nothing. Some seemed to twitch a bit, but most were still. Their crosses swung back and forth very slightly. And the hanging wires, they weren't wires. Found her. Shimmy, stay in the fucking ball. Good. A small inchling puppet that fits inside a rice bowl. Yes. Alright, back to resort area. So again, I don't remember if I caught evolved forms of them or not, but I know that Tojiko I don't have. Okay. So Tojiko, Ellen. Move you out of here. Okay. Back to the decks. Shika, no. Ellen, okay. Hitate and Moko. Okay. Hitate and Moko. There's Moko. And Hitate was in box 4, I think. Or was it box 5? I don't remember where she was, but I know that I did have her. I've seen her a couple times scrolling. There she is. Okay. There we go. Moko. And Lunasa. And Lunasa. These would be the other instruments, right? Oh, I have 2 Hatates, right? Because one of them has one of them had a different ability I used for. There you are. Okay. Wait, toxic. Who can learn it? Tojiko, Hitate, and Lunasa. Good. Perfect. Okay. We're heading back. Go. Who's first? Ellen. What is this music? Kind of insane, actually. Not bad. Why are they crucifying children in the Ronald McDonald facility? It's just not the question on everyone's minds. Whoa, jeez. Woo! I got it. Don't worry, I got it. There we go. I don't remember if I used the center, and I know Kutaka needs a PP refill. Okay. We're going. I wish this was the grass. I'm glad I caught so many of these motherfuckers, because leveling them all up would have been painstaking. Alright, where are we at? They were in intravenous tubes attached to the kids' wrists, tubes sucking out their blood. I almost vomited again right then and there. The very center of the room, amidst the rows of hanging crosses, I could see where the rhythmic pulsing sound came from. A huge steel cylinder was seen to be collecting the blood from all the tangled tubes that dangled from the kid's wrists. I opened my mouth to scream, to cry out in anger. All I could say was, "What the fuck?" Oh, I forgot to... There we go. That's when the alarms began to sound, loud, piercing, like the police sirens of hell. They must have realized I was missing. I shut the doors and frantically glanced around the hallway to see if anyone was coming. No signs yet. I ran for the stairwell. As soon as I entered the stairwell, I heard laughter from above, echoing and reverberating through the stairwell. The clown nurses were coming. I stumbled down the stairs as fast as I could. I must have gone down another 3 stories before I reached the basement. I found myself running through a dark sewer-like hallway with small light bulbs overhead every 10 yards or so. Oh. The smell of decay and rotting flesh grew even more and more pungent as I ran. The laughter continued behind me. I managed to glance behind and see a group of them running after me. I saw them coming into the light, and then they became silhouettes again. Their smiling faces and gleaming knives and needles pushing my adrenaline to the max. I ran past alcoves full of stacked, rotting corpses, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't think of anything but escape. I turned a corner and found myself facing the metal rungs of a ladder in the wall. I climbed until my head smacked the ceiling. Below me, the shadows and laughter grew closer. Their footsteps slowed, they were close, and they knew it. I pushed at the ceiling above me, heaving upward and panting and screaming. The clowns were below me, laughing and waving their scalpels. Something cut my leg. I screamed and pushed one last time. The ceiling gave way as a manhole cover slammed onto asphalt above. A circular opening. I climbed out and frantically pushed the manhole cover back over the hole, blocking out the laughter and the clown nurses below. I lay there on top of the manhole cover for a few minutes as I caught my breath. Rain fell onto my skin. The turbulent night sky was a welcome sight. I looked around, abandoned buildings, broken glass, no light, no cars, no signs of life at all. Police sirens somewhere in the distance, then silence, an urban ghost town. I climbed to my feet, pain shot through my leg. I looked down and saw the cut on my ankle where the clown nurse had slashed me. Bastards. Limping the best I could, I started to walk. "Hello!" I called out. The only answer was a distant roll of thunder. "Somebody help me, please! Yes, scream more!" Scream more. My foot fell on something soft and mushy. I looked down a newspaper. I peeled it off the wet asphalt. Most of the ink had faded, but I was able to make out the date. July 13th, 1992. I dropped it, and icy dread filled my stomach. I kept walking. "Can anyone hear me?" I screamed. "Please, anyone, please." My words faded into delirious sobs. I stood still for a moment. The rain had soaked through my thin hospital gown. I shivered as the wind blew, and I saw a light in the distance. It was a big yellow M in the sky, a McDonald's. Of course, I limped towards it, learning nothing from my experience. When I came to the McDonald's, I saw that apart from the M, the rest of the building was completely dark. I walked cautiously towards the broken windows and looked in. Darkness. I turned and surveyed the play place outdoor underground. 10-foot-tall structures of colored tubes for kids to crawl through. Sitting at one of the benches was a familiar figure. The Ronald McDonald statue. You know, the one where you can sit beside him and looks like you got his arm around your shoulders. Every kid has seen it. I know what he's talking about. I know what he's talking about. Yeah. I shuddered at the sight. The doors were unlocked. I walked in out of the rain, silence, darkness. I noticed that the decor wasn't like the modern McDonald's you see. It was still the same as when it was in the 80s, with the white plastic booths and the red and yellow tiles. The wind seemed to whisper through the broken windows. I noticed something on the front counter, a black rectangle. I got closer. A laptop. A nearly new laptop. I let out a sigh. Soft, delirious laugh. I knew what I was supposed to do. What do you mean? What does that mean exactly? What do you mean you knew what you were supposed? What are you doing? I took the laptop outside and sat beside the Ronald McDonald statue. I opened the laptop and began to type the story. Oh, he's typing the story. Oh, I see what he's doing. Oh, okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down, buddy. I gotcha. You took it outside into the fucking rain and typed out your story. Why would... Silly business. Silly business. Unbelievably silly behavior. I got... Took the laptop outside, sat beside Ron, opened the laptop, began to type the story. The rain is falling on the keys, but I don't care. There's nothing left to do but wait. Because I've been noticing out of the corner of my eye, Ronald is trying to look over my shoulder. He's laughing now, and all I can do is join him. Hee hee ha. Hee hee ha. So he's dead, I suppose. John, bad kid, was sacrificed to the Ronald McDonald house where they crucify children and drain their blood for reasons. In an old abandoned town where they kill everybody you ever known the person because for I don't know. There's no way to know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Ronald's laughing, I'm laughing, you're laughing, we're all laughing. We're all having a good laugh. Except the guy, actually the guy who wrote this is even laughing. So we're all having a good time. Well, there you go, chat. I read it, and I get it. And I never heard of that until today. The Ronald McDonald house. Is it real? I'll let you decide. I won't ruin the illusion. Bunch of creepy, maniacal freak shows who dress up like Ronald McDonald and cut children up because like, I don't know, they do? I'm pretty sure we don't do that. But what do I know? He might be a Borglar. He might get turned one later in the story, in the sequel, when he's writing the story as the Borglar, a sentient Borglar. But again, what do I know? Streamer really likes taking the piss at everything, doesn't he? Yeah, but can you blame me? Can you blame me? It's a little funny to take the piss out of things like this. That's how we operate. You know, one of the biggest coping mechanisms we have as the human race is comedy. You know? When things cause us extreme discomfort, we try to take them easier by converting them into a joke. Even when the subject matter itself is not something that should be joked about lightly, we do it because we need a way to remove ourselves from the seriousness of the situation. Streamer's playing psychologist again. Somebody get him off the stream. But it's true. They got a mint condition 1992 newspaper in the streets. Yeah, a beautiful laptop in this old shady McDonald. So yeah, it was cool. Didn't expect that, did you? Here, take this egg. Take this egg. Tragedy will be exclusively joked about because my empathy is bumming me out. Well, it's not even that. But it's just like, if something really bad happened to you, at some point, you will probably start making jokes about it because, well, that's how you cope. I guess it depends on person to person, mind you, but and the severity of said situation. But humor is our #1 coping mechanism, so it helps you deal with grief, even if it's considered very, you know. Why that better be a short one. GM construct framework. Yeah, okay. Sure, you win. I'll read it. I got 15 minutes. Fuck you, Luigi. Okay. GM construct framework. Gary's mod. Who doesn't know this awesome sandbox? Well, I'm kind of addicted to it with more than 2,200 hours of playtime. I can safely say that I'm kind of addicted to it, but not so long ago something happened that kind of weirded me out. No, it just flat out scared me. I avoided Gmod for a while because of this event, but I'm slowly edging back into it. No, I didn't hear about you edging. This one day I was browsing multiplayer servers because after an eternity of playing alone, I thought it'd be a nice idea to play online with some people, and that was the scariest part of this story. I opened the server browser and waited for some servers to load. It took a long while. Waiting for about 15 minutes until I finally saw a server pop into the browser. GM Construct Framework. I saw it had 2 other players in it, so I waited for a little longer for a server that had more active people in it. But oddly enough, after waiting for another 15 minutes, no other servers but this one had popped up, so I shrugged and joined the server. My Gmod froze for a while before I connected, and that's pretty normal for me. What I did catch my attention was the server was downloading stuff with the name Framework A and Framework B. The download took a while. Must have been a pretty huge file, I thought. The download bar jumped back and forth a few times, and at last I spawned. The map was just GM Construct. Scattered on the grass area were several contraptions, probably made by the 2 players on the server. Talking about these 2 players, I didn't see them at all, so I hit the tab key, and there were indeed 2 players on the server. I'll call them Hodge and Podge. I hit Y to type in the chat. Yo dudes, Hodgepodge, where you at? And the instant after I hit enter, Hodge replied, leave. Okay, bye. I was kind of weirded out by this. Strange reaction, and probably the weirdest response I ever got. I responded, no dude, I just came to play some multiplayer with you, smiley. And then Podge responded, his grammar and English were a bit odd, so I thought there was just a slight language barrier. We can't play, we're stuck. Stuck how? A glitch? I responded. A while of silence followed. I hadn't moved from the spawn point so far until I got a message from the server. It only appeared in the middle of the screen for a short while, and what seemed like sands. Podge had left server via the framework. I was a bit weirded out. Via the framework. I asked Hodge, dude, you see that? What is the framework? To which he responded, find the darkest room on the map. He's gone. I am still stuck. He doesn't let me go. I perked a brow. Oh, what is that way? I shrugged it off and decided to just leave the server. Just a bunch of trolls trying to be funny. So I hit escape. The menu didn't pop up. I hit escape again. No menu. Chat, why are you coming? What? I don't even know the context for this. Whatever. You know what? I know why you're doing that. Never mind. I know why you're doing that. I understand everything. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I know. I don't want to hear it. Do you know what edging means? Edging means you don't do that. Don't you understand? You have failed to edge with that emote. That's failure. Failure. You lose. You're bad at this. Okay, where am I? Control delete then? Nope, still couldn't exit Gmod. I didn't want to turn off my PC either because I still had some unsaved Word documents and Sony Vegas files on it. Why did you not close them, you dipshit? I sighed and slumped on my shoulders with a grump expression on my face. I just went ahead and began making a contraption on the server, a bench with engines on it. I pressed V to no clip to see the bench from the top view down. Thing is, the server had no clip disabled, apparently, and I saw that Hodge sent another message. Find the darkest room. You can't leave until he lets you. I sighed again. I wish he'd fuck off with this cryptic shit. After about an hour doing random stuff on the server, I grew massively bored. I've been flying around, jumping off buildings, coloring the white room brown, and shot myself in the mirror 100 times. I opened the chat window again and looked at Hodge's latest message. He still wanted me to find the darkest room. I knew what that was. That room where you see ahead of you when you enter a small building you see on the left when you spawn. I hadn't entered that room the whole time because I generally find it a useless place. You need me! But for now, I could make an exception. Seeing as I couldn't no-clip, I sprinted my way to the room. As soon as I stood in front of it, I heard one of the zombie growls from Half-Life 2. Hodge must have spawned a zombie in there to try and scare me. Haha, I thought. Turned on my flashlight and proceeded into the room. Another growl echoed through the room. I took a turn to the right, walked through a short corridor, and then turned left. I looked straight into the big emptiness of the room. I messed around with my fizz gun a little, seeing if I could grab Hodge's zombie with it. For those of you that don't know, the fizz gun is the tool used to grab everything in Gary's mod. When you grab something, a small glow appears around the object and the beam turns brighter. Chumps. Absolute chumps. No matter how much I swept the beam through the room, it didn't turn brighter. What did happen though is that the beam glitched up, and when I aimed at a certain point of the room, every time I passed that point, the beam glitched up and didn't go any further than a couple of inches from this fizz gun, as if something invisible was blocking it. And then while I was standing still aimed at the glitch beam, I saw a message from the server popping up. Hodge has left the server via the framework. And thus I was the only person left on the server. Perhaps this framework thing was just the admin who just coded the kick message to display like that. Either way, I was a bit weirded out by the fizz gun glitch. Never experienced it before in any of those 2,200 hours I played. Felt a wee bit uneasy, was no zombie in the room, then what made the growl? And why was my fizz gun glitching? I walked further into the room, still aiming my fizz gun at whatever made the glitch. I was wearing headphones at the time, and oddly enough, there was a sound coming through the left earpiece, only it sounded like heavy breathing by someone who's got a lot of a slime in his throat. It was a very weak sound, though. Apparently it died off as quickly as it raised. A sudden loud beep made me jump up from my chair. I looked at the screen. Nothing had changed. At least I thought so. When I touched the mouse to look to my right, the whole screen spazzed out. Same was for pressing the W key or the S key. Then when I heard something coming up with my left earpiece again, it was the heavy breathing from before. I let go of the mouse and the keyboard because I knew it spazzed the whole time. The breathing in my ear got louder and louder. It made me feel extremely uncomfortable because it sounded so real, like someone was actually breathing in my ear. I touched the mouse again and saw I could move normally. However, the AD and S keys still gave me the screen spazzes. I pressed W and I slowly moved forward into the room. I aimed ahead and again pressed the primary trigger. Yep, the fizz gun was still glitched. As I walked, I saw something emerge from the darkness into the light of my flashlight. We got through 5 hours of spooky music! Whoa! We did it! I can barely describe what it was. Floating in the air, it can only be described as a bloodied human skeleton. They got skeletons now. Alright, Moko, you're up. With the legs, arms, head, and pelvis missing, the ribcage was completely broken open, and the spine was elongated and apparently had a skull on the bottom. The arms and shoulder blades were in an odd position on the back of the skeleton. From the right shoulder blade protruded the third arm and a skull on top. From its spine, a secondary spinal column protruded, on which it was another skull, and I can only assume that this was this thing's main head. It was frightening as it slowly moved into the light of my flashlight. My heart raced and my eyes widened as I mumbled "no" over and over. The breathing in my earpiece hadn't stopped, and the closer I moved to the skeleton, the stranger the screen started to behave. Screen tearing, colors that were way off, the screen began to shake. The fizz gun was still glitching out. I didn't hesitate to take a screenshot of the thing, and the moment I did this, the screen froze, and the sound stopped. It remained like this for about 7 seconds. Oh no. Suddenly the skeleton lunged at the screen as a painfully loud beep sounded in both my earpieces. I yelped and threw my headphones off as Gary's mod shut down, my screen now completely black. I cursed and stared at the screen with my heart racing. Though I thought my PC had turned off and this whole thing was a virus. After I managed to calm down, I noticed my PC was still running. I looked at the screen and noticed that there was an image on it, slowly fading in. After a short while, I could see the image more clearly, and I was immediately unnerved by it. It was a picture of a semi-bald man. Scary. Standing in total darkness with a frightened expression on his face. Looking at the left side of the screen, behind him towered a skeletal figure reminiscent of the thing I saw in-game. However, that thing looked much more menacing and taller. Apparently had blood dripping from the skull's eye sockets. And it loomed over as the man as if it were about to devour him. The image was vague, but it looked so real to me. On the bottom left of the image, I could barely make out 2 words. The framework. Oh. The feeling of dread then took me over. I felt as if that skeletal monster was looming over me as well, as it loomed over the man in the photo. In the picture, I wanted to move, but I couldn't take my eyes off that image. Out of the blue, the image faded out, and then some white text appeared on my screen. The framework has let you go. The screen then snapped back to my desktop. The backwork had changed to a black and white version of the image I had seen. Less horrifying, but it still made me uncomfortable. Luckily, I could change it back just as easy. Took me a while to get everything straight. What the hell happened just then? Decided to just save everything I wanted to save, turn off my PC, and return to watching TV. My mind was completely blank. Stay away from that server. Damn. The creepy entity was like, yeah, you're chill. You're chill, bruh. You go. You can get out of here. Come on, just a joke. Come on, I'm having some fun here on the server. But old hodgepodge, they're gone. And they're never coming back. The bald man. Not actually bad, Chad. Not bad. Pretty cool. That was pretty neat. You need me. But like, you know, real. Spooky. Pain. Oh. I don't taste good. The framework demon can't eat me. Alright. Head back to the house. The house. Another day, another series of progression. What's my Pokedex number at? There's like 496 motherfuckers. 493 in this game. Let me see. Yo, we're almost done. Yo, look at that Pokedex number. We're actually almost done. We're making great progress. There's over 400 in there. We got less than 100 to do. Hell yeah. Well, we're stopping here because it's 10 o'clock. Good job, streamer. You're the greatest. So, more next week. In the meantime, though, I'm going to go disappear. Goodbye.